everybody. My name is Miss Molly for those who don't know me, and welcome to Mini Lab Rats. Just to let you know, I have my notes right here, so if I start looking down, that's why, so that I stay on track and I don't go off on a tangent. What we're going to be talking about today is weather, and I bet you've noticed some pretty big weather changes recently. We are officially out of winter, we are in spring, and that's usually when we expect things to warm up. And we did kind of warm up back in March. But recently we've had cold winds, we've had rain, which has made it colder, and we're into April when we normally expect it to be nice and sunny and warm. And just last week it was cold, rainy, and just all sorts of dreary. And then today, nice and sunny again with almost completely clear skies. So that means that we're going to talk about this month, both this time and in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about weather. And today what we're going to be talking about is what brings rain to us, which are clouds. So let's get into it. So clouds are very interesting things. You may, just like I did when I was a kid, think that clouds are solid, like cotton candy or marshmallows. And maybe you also think that you can sit on them and float away like they do in cartoons. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to burst that bubble. Clouds are not solid. They are actually gaseous, meaning that they are not solid at all. So there are three states of matter. There's solid, liquid, and gas. And so whenever like an ice cube melts into water, then evaporates, it becomes water vapor, which means that it is not solid whatsoever. So then in that case, let's get into what clouds actually are. So according to NASA, high up in the sky, there is water that you can't see. Why is that? Because the majority of the time, the water is actually too small. Have you ever walked outside and there's fog everywhere? Well, those are clouds that are very, very close to the ground, but you can't see the water that's in them because the water molecules are too small to actually see. But it's a type of cloud that's very heavy, so it comes all the way down to the ground. And so just like in fog, the water that's all the way up in the atmosphere is already gas, which is, as I said, called water vapor. And as the water goes higher up into the sky, it ends up getting cooler, which then causes the water to start to stick to things like dust, ice, and salt. And that is actually what clouds are made of. But that doesn't mean that all clouds are alike. There are a whole bunch of different clouds, and we're going to go over some of them today. So come over here with me and take a look at my board. So this right here, what I have here is just a quick, very simple map of what our atmosphere is like. So we have high, mid, and low. That actually determines what the clouds are and where they are. So to start off, we're going to start up really, really high, and we're going to start with cirrus clouds. All right, and so cirrus clouds are small, wispy clouds that are seen very up high, and they're usually filled with ice and indicate that a warm front is approaching. So, and what they look like is they're kind of wispy like that, and you can usually still see the sky underneath them. Actually, if you look out today, you may get to see some of them. And then next are cirrostratus. And cirrostratus clouds are the ones that are also up high in the sky, and they cover a large surface area and look fog-like, but they are clearly higher up in the sky than fog is, because fog is down on the ground. And when this cloud ends up coming lower because it gets heavier with rain, it's actually then called a stratus cloud, and will usually then produce fog, drizzles, and cooler temperatures. And what it tends to look like is kind of patchy. So you have a whole bunch of little clouds all hanging up together, and they end up covering up a whole lot of surface area. All right, so then we're actually going to then go down a little bit. So this one is a weird one. This one we're gonna do is nimbostratus. All right, and nimbostratus clouds are similar to stratus clouds, which we'll talk about whenever we get down low. But they're usually darker, and they're lower, and more likely to bring bad weather. And most of the time, nimbostratus clouds will actually cover most of the sky. And what they usually do is they actually hang out in both areas. They're in both the mid and low range. And so whenever they get heavier with water vapor, they end up lowering and they can bring bad weather, and they'll cover up most of the entire skyline that you can see. And so the next cloud that we're gonna do, we're coming down low, is stratocumulus. And stratocumulus, these are layered cloud clumps that spread throughout the sky at a whole bunch of different elevations, but you'll actually find them down low. And they usually show up in like lines or streaks throughout the sky, so they're kind of like this whenever you look at them on a skyline. So they're kind of layered and they're clumpy and they're all together. And they could or could not bring rain. It's not always guaranteed if you see them, but they can be ones that bring it. Then the ones that everybody usually knows about are cumulus. So cumulus clouds are your picture perfect clouds. And they're the ones that usually appear actually after a storm has come through. So they're the really, really big, like they're the ones that are big and puffy, and they all hang out together, the ones that you usually see, like if you go looking up the clouds and you say, oh look, that's a dog. It's usually because it's the cumulus clouds that have just shown up. But the one that I quite like a lot, and I have to do it over here, is the cumulonimbus cloud. And this cloud is the one that actually hangs out in all three. And they are the ones that are big, heavy clouds that'll take up most of the sky going up and around. And they're the ones that usually indicate either bad or extreme weather, including rain, lightning, storms, hail, and ice. So they're the ones that usually end up coming through whenever we have bad storms here. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so now that we've learned about the types of clouds, we're going to do some experiments. The first one we're going to do is making a cloud in a jar. So come closer and I'll show you what we're going to be doing. What you need is a jar. It doesn't have to be a mason jar, but that's what I chose for today. Hairspray, some blue food coloring, or whatever food coloring you'd like, and a bowl of ice that's nice and cold. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your hot water, and don't make it too hot because you don't want it to actually start steaming up just yet. You're gonna pour it in there, and then if you want, you can add your food coloring. All right. Just to make it a little more fun, I'm gonna like swish that around a little. And then what you do is you set your cold bowl of ice up on top. What's really cool about this is as you watch, there's a temperature change. So your hot water is producing heat that ends up hitting the bowl full of ice, which then causes condensation to start to form on the sides of the jar. So you just kind of leave it there for a little bit to get nice and cold. And then you'll take that off, shake up your hairspray, and then you spray the condensation with the hairspray. And do you see it coming out? You have a cloud in a jar. Isn't that cool? Okay, and so now we're gonna go to our next experiment. I'm gonna move my stuff out of the way. So what we're gonna be doing, so it's not so much of an experiment as it is just something that's fun. You're going to make your own puffy paint, which what you need for that is 3/4 cup of shaving cream, a 1/4 cup of flour, and a 1/4 cup of glue. Now for the rest of the experiment, what you're going to need is a large bowl to mix them in, paintbrushes, and if you happen to have any blue paper or whatever paper you happen to have that you would like to use. And then what that makes is this. So it looks kind of gross, I understand, but it is a lot of fun because it makes puffy paint that you can then use to make your own clouds. So let's see, I want to do cirrus clouds. So cirrus clouds are kind of wispy, right? So what you'll do is you'll make your clouds. And if you can, go outside, identify what clouds are out there. But also, if you want to do this, take a picture and let us see what you make. And if you do that, make sure to tag the Bedford Public Library. But see, it's just kind of fun, it's messy, and it's a whole good time with stuff that you have at home. Other than that, that's it for today, guys. And so I'll see you in 2 weeks.